move on to Columbia's South Carolina. Under the lights in Williams-Brice Stadium, the Gamecocks coming off of a bye week after a dominant win over Oklahoma the last time we saw them. Coach Beamer respects every single facet of this A&M team.
I know you guys err more on the side of looking at the NCAA stats of everything and where people rank on all 100-plus teams. I look at the SEC stats because that's what we're judged on. And this is the greatest conference in the world, and there's no conference in America that has more competitive Saturdays with NFL players on the field than this league. So I look at what teams do in SEC games. So if you look at SEC versus SEC teams stats, number one in the SEC in rushing offense, Texas A&M. In SEC games, number one in rushing defense, Texas A&M. Number one scoring offense, Texas A&M. Number one in turnover margin, Texas A&M. Rushing attempts, Texas A&M. I think red zone, they're number one in the SEC in touchdowns, in red zone percentage. I think 16 touchdowns and 20 trips. So you look at everything, SEC versus SEC games, which they've played 5 of them just like we have, and they are near the top in every category that directly equates to winning and losing.
Well, we were going to show you a graphic with a bunch of numbers comparing the two teams, but Coach Beamer basically just did that for us. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like a coach that's a little bit tired of watching really good A&M tape this week and figuring out how the South Carolina team is going to stop them. And Randall, I'll say this. Coming off of a bye, that South Carolina defense has quite the chip on its shoulder, certainly through this point in the season. It's a South Carolina team that when you look at their conference record, they believe that they're a lot better than what those numbers reflect. When you look at some of the close games that South Carolina has been in, when you've looked at this matchup, what are some of the things that you think Coach Beamer, Coach White, Coach Loggins, and the South Carolina team have to accomplish to pull the upset?
Taking care of the ball. Offensively, you take care of the ball, you give yourself an opportunity in this game. You know their defense is going to play really high-level football. They're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to create pressure. They're going to put them in positions to force Texas A&M into turning the ball over. You look at the way that they played against Bama and the way they played against LSU, you know that they can compete with whoever, whenever, wherever. It's going to be about taking care of the football.
When I look at this game, certainly as we watch some of the highlights from South Carolina's defense from the last time we saw them, whenever anyone this week has asked me, what will it take for South Carolina to get a dub? It's going to be the defense putting points on the board. This is an offense that at times has struggled to move the football, and it's a young offense led by a quarterback who still doesn't have a ton of experience under his belt. But Randall, in these matchups, I always look at what the trench play has looked like all season long. And yes, we celebrate what South Carolina's defense and defensive front has done from a sack perspective all season. It's been lights out. But South Carolina quarterbacks have also been sacked 32 times this season. That is second most in the FBS behind Oklahoma. You cannot let your quarterback put his back on the ground against an A&M defensive front that's going to feast on you all night long. If you want the defensive stats and the numbers that this defense could put up to count in this game in the end. So protecting the quarterback is going to be huge for me.
That's a huge part of any offense, being able to keep your quarterback upright.
Can Rocket Sanders have a big game against Texas A&M? He struggled in 3 career games against A&M when he was at Arkansas. He averaged just under 4 yards a carry when he faced the Aggies. He could be a huge part of this South Carolina offense getting off to a fast start, which they did last year. Xavier Legette returned the opening kick to the house last year to get the lead on A&M. But this is an A&M team that has won 9 of the last 10 meetings between these two schools under the lights at Williams-Brice.
Can't wait to watch. Are you going?
I'm going.
Oh, let's go.
Very excited, and I'm not working either.
So get to enjoy it.